objective that we have, the vision that we have, there's a lot of crises in the world today that are affecting our endeavor to become an AI nation. Geopolitically, the rival between China and US controlling supply chains of AI, and it's not easy for us to enter the supply chain, and we, as what Gerard has presented, and we are entering an era, and he described AI as being a layer of utility. It is back in the days when we have industrial revolution, electricity is important to power the industrial revolution. Now we are in an information age, and AI, just like electricity, is powering the information age. The question is, what do we do as companies to harness AI, and what must a country do? So I would like to begin asking the question to Nicholas. We are in a polycrisis world. There's a lot of disruption happening, especially in the media industry. Both him and I are in media. I'm in FMT, he's in Media Prima. We have an abundance of information. But we as publishers, what we do is curating content. And the content that we create is premium. But when there's so much of information, how do media companies stay relevant? So yes, Nicholas, if you don't mind answering that, what are the challenges that you face as a publisher?
Thank you, Azeem. I think I'm going to speak on behalf of all the publishers who is part of the MDA, because I think the challenge is not so much of like whether we can survive or whatnot. It's more of like how we reinventing ourselves with the LLM and AI, right? Because there's so many information is available when you ask it or when you prompt it. In fact, I think the bit where some people are worried about AI is because it gives you misinformation. I think Gerard was talking about just now. And it's part of those things that people don't want to use it for anything official. So as a media company, I think it's a great opportunity for us to be able to create an authentic narrative, right? Figuring out how we use our brand to sort of like say, hey, this is a story that it's building up, but it's a true story, right? Trying to figure out how do we make sure that the narrative is what it's supposed to be, rather than going around and figuring out, whether this is legit information. And I have to say, like a lot of the LLM today, they make a lot of effort to sort of point to where the information was coming from. But the challenge is some of the LLM don't really give you where the information is coming from. But I think if you use Gemini today, when you ask something about content, about information about news, it actually points you to where it was coming from. So as publisher, I think we have this opportunity to sort of use our brand as a premium validation to this kind of content. So that's how I see as a can.
But we take it further, Nicholas. Now with agentic AI, people are creating AI newsrooms, and only last year we find that AI, when they churn out or curate content, we can know it's AI, but increasingly, maybe 2 years down the road, it will become indistinguishable from content that is curated by humans. We will see an abundance of that. But how do we make that our content look different from AI? See, even if we are different, the AI content are still winning eyeballs, and we need eyeballs for the ads, especially for the media business model.
I have to say, personally, I feel like we can't run away from it, right? The AI is going to be great at agentic creating content for us. It's going to continue to do that, and I'm pretty sure, I think we had this conversation before, that somewhere in a lab, somewhere in one of the LLM, they are figuring out how to pull up news from social media and generate it as a real content, right? But again, I think as a media company, we need to figure out how do we create those moments where we can connect in the context of the country or the context of the content. Something that I've been championing quite a bit
you're saying that our national DNA infused within the content will make it distinct from content generated by AI. Now I want to speak to Gerard, since Nicholas explained about what we do as a nation, as a company. Perhaps from your perspective, operating in the international scene, we are facing a poly-crisis world, superpower rivalry between China and the US. Currently, China and the US, they are leading when it comes to AI models, the hardware behind it, including the advanced chips. They are dominating the supply chain. But we, in Malaysia, how do we get a piece of the action? How do we get involved in this supply chain? What is it that we can do to be a part of this? Clearly, we may not have the kind of skills to build new AI models that can surpass whether it's ChatGPT or Claude or DeepSeek, nor do we build chips on our own. But we are quite big on data centers. Perhaps you can share, based on experience, advising governments on building ecosystem, what Malaysia can do to be part of the supply chain. So you mentioned three things: data set, talents, and regulation. Interestingly, you mentioned about data sets. when we use AI, we insert or we put in our data set, our knowledge, thereby allowing for AI to operate within our context even better and to serve our purpose better. And I think this has a lot to do with what Nicholas mentioned about knowledge-based systems. I think just to share with you, we had a conversation, and I think it's very important for this audience to understand, of course, what is knowledge-based system. We've been using AI a lot to do things. They are like our hands, but Nicholas introduced the idea of knowledge systems or knowledge base, where we now use AI as a brain to process information. Nicholas, can you explain to me, to everybody here, what do you mean by knowledge base, and how would it be good for businesses?
Think of it as collective memories of your organization, or collective memories of the nation, or collective memories of your life, right? I think another easy example to make it even easier to understand, what happens if your best employee leaves the company? Now, obviously, you force that guy to, or that girl, to give you all the information or data from laptop, but you can't get into his mind. Think of it as like when that person leaves, you have that memory, you have the process, you have the knowledge, you have the understanding, you have the SOP being stored in a knowledge base. So it's quite similar to how a country or organization will operate today. I think that's something that's, I think, great that Greg was talking about, is just actually his first point. I think a lot of time we talk about talent, but to me, I really talk about championing this knowledge base to be able to, when you get into AI again, figure out what is that knowledge base of your company, what's unique to you, what's unique to your function. Because once you get that right, then you'll be able to do a lot more, efficiency into your AI, or making it decide better for you. Yeah.
So are you saying that companies should have their own AI brains? And if all companies can have their own AI brains, they would be able to have the kind of management information to operate the company in a more productive way. Do you see that a future where companies have this AI brain, and in one day, I want to tie back to what Gerard said in your presentation, this can actually communicate. You mentioned about agentic AI can communicate with each other. Can you probably, Nicholas, describe that kind of future where the nation have a lot of AI brains, and what would that future look like?
Yeah, okay, anyone who uses custom chat in their ChatGPT or Gemini, anyone use custom chat? Raise your hand. Come on, are you sure?
You mean
Okay, so yeah, you raise your hand. If you use custom chat, you actually understand what it means. It's the most fundamental of the knowledge base. But to Azeem's question, yes, it's quite possible, because if you look at how the agentic communicate with each other now as a concept, but I think in the next couple of months, you can literally put them all together and sort of able to communicate and make a better decision, obviously more efficient decision for leadership to sort of decide what's the decision that you make together based on this data.
So do you mean the kind of the project tab in the ChatGPT?
Yes.
Yeah. So basically, is that what you mean by customized chats? Okay. Yeah.
Well,
So
the most basic of it, but I think the agentic AI has a lot more function to do it even more in a complex way.
So you're saying that the project tab in the ChatGPT is a form of knowledge base, and that is the most basic sense of it. And one day we'll have companies having knowledge base, and even country probably will be using AI on steroids here. But a lot of AI usage would require infrastructure. AI requires data centers, and data centers requires energy, requires water. I want to come back to Gerard. Now we see across the world, water consumption, energy consumption is going through the roof, not just in Malaysia, but in other countries as well, as we use more AI. But here in Malaysia, data center is a big thing, in Johor especially. But now we are seeing even MPs in Parliament complaining about taking up too much water, taking too much electricity. Do you see that a country like Malaysia having to think about the other aspects of the infrastructure in order to ensure we get to become an AI nation?
Absolutely correct. And one of the ways to do
Yeah, so uh, you mentioned about energy. Of course, we have various sources of energy. Some are, I would say, non-renewable, non-clean energy like coal. Actually, Malaysia is quite big on using coal, using gas. Uh, there are real concerns about how the pace in which AI is growing will have effects to the environment. You see that as a nation, uh, we must make our energy transition faster, right? In a way, energy is a crisis. Climate change is a poly-crisis. You see that it's very important for nations to have to execute our energy transition faster, better, to unlock our AI endeavors.
In cases of both, they tend to be close to offshore wind, for example, because obviously, I don't know what your percentage of renewables is here, but in many countries now, renewable energy has reached over 50%. So I think that's why the idea is basically building data centers either close to the sea or close to hydroelectric power, where there are mountains, or where it's cold, right? And that's the idea. I think the governments are now really understanding the two needs for this, because without infrastructure, you cannot build the knowledge systems that we're talking about, and then eventually the intellectual property that is built from the application. So this is absolutely critical. And the idea is that I noticed that many governments make announcements before they even have the infrastructure in place. So I think Malaysia hasn't done that. Malaysia has been very smart at actually putting this in place before they make announcements.
I think it's very kind of you to say that. Um, well, uh, but if I were to encapsulate our discussion, Malaysia wants to become an AI nation. What does it mean? We have to be powered by AI, and that could be driven by knowledge-based systems in which Nicholas has described. I think for us companies, that will be a low-hanging fruit for us to start building knowledge-based system. The tools are already available on chat, and it's all about making sure that we have a place where we store all our information. With that information, we can make better decisions, and eventually with agentic AI, the knowledge base becomes a brain that manages the agentic AI and our workflow. And Nicholas mentioned that he does see that this will be scaled up even at the national level, and essentially using AI on steroids, but that can only be backed by strong infrastructure, as Gerard has mentioned and described. Strong, be able to add value in terms of data sets, have the right talent, have the right regulation, and underlying all of this, enough clean energy or renewable energy to power the infrastructure backing our AI endeavor. Now, I would like to just open the floor for some questions for the speakers. Anyone has any questions for the speakers?
All right, we have one question over here. Just kindly please raise your hand. Why not? Still one, yeah.
Hello, hi. I wanted to ask about the sustainability of adopting this AI. As we know that actually you asked about are we becoming AI enabler or we want to become AI native. So basically, right now the cost is cheap, okay? But down the road, the infrastructure now is like making money. But we know that actually most of the AI software is not making money. They are just going up only. So in the long run, is it like sustainable for us as a human? Because in the future, maybe we will have the work arbitrage. We might knowing the entry level are people that can do the daily works. So we replace them with AI. So how from on the leadership perspective, how are we going like to build the like this environment sustainable between AI and human as well? Like what is the policy we will implement in this case, since this is it clear or is it not clear?
Gerard would like to take that first.
Just to be clear, the question is how to
Sustain. Is it
sustain.
all thrive and then after that sustain in terms of like human and an AI, meaning that we have a balance. So we are not against
Then one more question.
Azeem,
Oh.
do we have time?
Time's up?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's all time we have today. Thank you so much to Nicholas and Gerard for being here. It's an honor. Hopefully, we learned something today about what companies needs to do in the era of AI and what the nation has to do. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Azeem, for having me. Thank you,